All righty, we are live. Hello, and hey, true believers, as I normally say. Every week on Monday, we are talking about something from the Longbox, we used to call it. Now it's what you're reading. Now it's what you're reading, comics. I've been changing the title, finding something that really sticks for me. This week we are doing Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This is a writer that we've touted on this channel many, many times. So I was really excited to get a hold of this. I've never read this before.
Me either.
Okay, so this is brand new to both of us. So all right. I think this is was it whose was oh, this was Dark Admiral. This was Dark Admiral's suggestion. He's in the chat. Okay. So this is about all I can show you. I cannot show a whole bunch that goes on in this book. It is just, there is a whole bunch of blood, guts, boobs, the whole 9 yards. This is
in other words, 90s incarnate. That is this book.
There's goodness gracious. I wondered, how am I going to approach this? Because I got to tell you something. I put my tea in the freezer and it just it froze right up to the top there. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to enjoy my tea. It's ice cold. At least that. Okay, so this is the plot, ladies and gentlemen. This is all about a guy who is feeling down in the dumps. He ends up hearing his best friend say something about him that she felt sorry for him, and that pushed him over the edge. So he decides to kill himself. On the way down, he gets strung up by clotheslines and stuff like that. Ends up landing, not killing himself, and a demon presents himself to the guy on the cover here, and he says, "Well, here's simple. You lived. You were supposed to die. You lived. Therefore, you have to keep killing for me. A life was saved. Therefore, a life must be taken in its place." But that's not really the deal, because he's supposed to keep killing. It's not just that.
Because for each day or week or month or whatever that he continues to live on the demon's dime, basically,
he owes the demon a life.
Yeah.
And so that's the premise. This guy has to go out and find somebody who's bad enough that he doesn't feel bad about killing. Okay. That is the premise. If I had one word to describe this book based on the writing, it would be nihilistic. This is not a happy book. This is, and at first I was actually about to put it down. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I could keep going. There's something when you have a certain style of writing, it tells you more about the writer than it does the character.
Yeah.
And the beginning of this book is so much that. Obviously, Ed Brubaker swings to the left politically, and he was just slinging. What I don't understand about writers of comic books on the left, I can't say all authors or anything like this, but I have noticed writers of comic books who are politically left really speak about the cities that they live in, and most of them are democratically run cities, how god awful they are. They always talk about, like, I'm in Indiana now, don't like it, but I am. It's a flyover state. It isn't bad. Oh my gosh, the environment's bad. There's no forestry. There is if you're not living in freaking New York or California.
Yeah, I think the issue
they speak of these cities as they're awful hellholes. At the same time, they laud them as the greatest places to live.
I think the issue is you've got two factors essentially combining to create this attitude. Okay. One is a pompous sense of elitism. That's the I got out of the flyover states, I got out of the small town, I made it to the big city, and therefore I'm better than you attitude. But then you also have the second thing, which is their lives are miserable and dominated by shallow, momentary hedonism. So I can't acknowledge the fact that it's me and my life choices that led to this. Therefore, I'm going to project all this negative shit onto the city in which I live, because that's just how the world is, don't you know?
Well, his writing, this is a story, and I've read 6 issues of it. Apparently, you went further than that.
I did, because I was enjoying it. I was really quite taken with this thing.
And this is told in the first person. The main character is telling somebody this story. I don't know if it's just us or if later we're going to find out he's telling, my guess, a cop. But he's narrating it, and it is so bleak in the fact that, oh, well, that's a life is a hellhole. Everybody's trying to be bad. Nobody is good.
Yeah, because he's essentially Travis Bickle. Or I forget the guy's name, Rupert Pumpkin, or this kind of story, or at least the way the story starts. It gets more complicated later when the supernatural elements get introduced and yada yada. But it's a similar movie to Fight Club or Taxi Driver or King of Comedy or Joker. That's the kind of person who our protagonist is. He is the loser at the end of his rope, who life just continuously keeps shitting on.
So, yeah, this also, by the way, you mentioned the. First, let me address the big cold sore in the room. Then, if Black Spider's going to bring it up, nah, it's I get 2 a year. One's always in May or June, and one will be in. I didn't actually last year, and one will be in September. I've just been getting these things since I was a kid. I went to the beach, and I told this story actually not too long ago. I went to the beach and I fell asleep in the Florida sun on the beach, and my parents didn't even know I was down there. So I stayed out there a long time, and my lips swelled because they got sun poisoning. And ever since then, I've just been susceptible to these things. So my aunt said, however, I was susceptible before that, but I don't remember getting anything like that. But so unfortunately, this is the way it is. I was putting on the creams, trying to hide it. But while I was sleeping, my bird flew over and was wondering what that was. And whoo!
I would be rating Gail's or your daughter's makeup and trying to come up with a solution.
And then it just looks like I'm wearing makeup over a cold sore. So I'd rather just be honest about it. It's not attractive, but yeah, I've never actually hidden too much from this channel. I don't hide.
True.
I do not hide Gail's personal stuff. I do not. Well, I actually outed my daughter, but I don't really share Gail's stuff or Elizabeth's. But for me,
that ship sailed around the time of the first drunk stream.
Yep. Anyway, that's what's going on here. One thing though, so this demon does show up with him. And he says that you have to.
Did we ever get a name for this demon? I can't remember if we got a name for him or not.
No, and I'll tell you what. I think this is now you've read further than I have, but I think ultimately what we have here is a false narrator, and I think the demon is it's the Babadook. It's it's this woman's depression in the Babadook.
I took it the complete opposite way. Frankly, I was sitting there going, stop thinking you're crazy. Stop thinking it's all in your head. You very clearly had the freaking relapse of your sickness as soon as you said you weren't gonna do it. So can we be an adult and realize you are in this Faustian situation? Either find a way to screw the demon over and make him leave you the frick alone, or do as you were asked. Really not that then again, I'm a practicing occultist with 18 years of experience, or 19 years of experience actually now, and to me the supernatural is not that unusual. So that might be my bias.
When we reach issue 20, we'll know who's right on this one. In all honesty, I kind of hope I am. I know you're the occultist, you like the mystic, but I when I was a kid, I read psychology books, so I like the fact that the mind can take you to places where you really don't want to go sometimes.
Again, this may be a bias of mine, but I have always hated the it's all in your head episodes, whether it be that one episode of Buffy, or they've done it to Batman a couple of times, or they did it in an episode of The Magicians, which I otherwise really like as a show, but I hate that freaking episode. I hate all this shit that we've been following for the last several seasons or whatever is all in your head thing.
I don't think all of it is in his head. I think the motivations are in his head because here is a demon telling him to go kill at his lowest point. That's how I would write it anyway. I would make it that, you know, this thing that came back up on him was just him being overwhelmed, and he has to deal with it. If you notice, when okay, let's get to some story elements here. He's living with his friend. He's living with, apparently, I got it that he was living with his best friend and her boyfriend. And there's a period when the girl kind of is making it friends with benefits that we don't see the demon. He never shows up. So he is at a better place when this is happening. And so he's not seeing the demon so much. That being said, he's also killing more.
Well, yeah. That's the thing. I interpreted that as the demon doesn't need to put his thumb on the scale as much if, you know, he's keeping up his end of the bargain. That's
something I love the fact that here we are reading the same story and we're getting two different things out of it.
And again, I fully acknowledge that a lot of this might be my bias, because for me, the supernatural existing is just a obvious truism, and for me, it's psychologically all in your head crap pisses me off. So that may very well be just me being me there.
Yeah, it's but okay. So as I was saying, though, I really do want to reiterate the fact that when I'm reading this, when I'm reading the, and by the way, I'm sorry guys, I can't really show the book.
We would get yeeted from YouTube forever if we showed half the content.
Yeah, there's a lot of naked, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of if I actually showed what I could show, it would look like My Dinner with Andre, two people talking. That's all this book is.
It's very 90s, kids.
Yeah, it really is. So, and that's one thing. He goes out and he decides, okay, well, if I've got to kill bad people, I'm going to go out and search for them. And one of the good things I thought was that he finds that it's not actually easy to see bad people and find bad people, because it's not like in the movies where the superheroes or walk across rooftops. Help me! And then he jumps down and.
See, I really liked that, because for all of the nihilism in the rest of the book, and there's quite a bit, I did like that there aren't just, you know, demons and fascists and what have you around every corner for this guy to go all Dexter on, because I thought for a while, like I'm pretty sure you also did, with how nihilistic the book opens up, I was like, okay, so there's going to be some thug or some mobster or some whatever on every corner because the world is just nihilistic and shitty. But no, he actually has to work his way to find them, because, as it turns out, the average person isn't a piece of crap.
And yet, ever so often, Brubaker talks about how the world's a shitty place, and everybody does this, and everybody does that, and everybody does this.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think this book benefited from being written when it was written.
Mm-hmm.
Because
this is a 2010, right? This 2010s. This was produced.
I don't know.
This wasn't the 90s. I mean, I thought you talked about like 90s as in.
No, it is tonally 90s. That's why I didn't really think much of it. But I didn't.
Yeah,
look
this
up when
was. This was the last issue was 2018, and let me see. The first issue was 2016. So there you go.
Okay, so never mind. I was going to say that maybe he would have been more nihilistic now if he had written it again. But if he was good on Ed Brubaker for at least being willing to concede that there aren't Nazis and fascists and various forms of human
gosh, but he does. That's just one more thing. Like I said, with this kind of dialogue, it reveals more about the writer than the character. He was talking about things like, and a fascist is in the White House. And, we have to fight the Nazis. Punch the Nazis. You know, you remember all that night when we called it SJW rather than woke. The beginning is just lays out that dialogue just flat. This, by the way, I was actually thinking, if this kid becomes or is Antifa, absolutely fantastic. Because as we see right now in California, we just see how people with this mindset ramp up the violence. I mean, you get, I've never seen I've never seen this kind of violence that we're seeing right now from somebody on the right. And that counts, by the way, J6, which we find out more and more that it was people on the left that did most of the violence.
Yeah, we covered that way back in the day, back on a different channel entirely.
But a lot of the stuff that that Brubaker is saying, which I am 100% certain is his own thoughts, were the things about everything that was a political stamp in 2016, 18, so forth, with Trump winning the everything.
The TDS.
He mentions it.
Social justice-based TDS.
And I thought, holy shit. I didn't, and this is, by the way, I don't know the story yet. I don't know a demon's going to pop up and all this. I said, oh my gosh, is this kind of like the rise of an Antifa guy? Because I saw he's wearing the hood. It's not black, but he's wearing a hood and everything. He's covering his face and I thought, wow, this would be really an excellent freaking story if this is an honest look at how a stupid leftist millennial or Gen V, whatever they're calling, I think that's boys.
Zoomers.
But if it was an honest look at how they could become indoctrinated and then become violent.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get that from Ed Brubaker, at least not honestly, because to people like Ed Brubaker, Antifa are the good guys. It's the flag smashers from Falcon and the Winter Soldier thing again.
Yeah,
they're only doing all this heinous violent shit because it's necessary, because
look
the
at
world
right
is
now.
They're
Burning down Los Angeles.
Again,
and we're hearing, oh, it's mostly peaceful. I don't know anybody who's buying that shit anymore. Honestly,
I never bought it to begin with, but I'm weird like that.
Yeah, but I'm even talking about the morons on the left that bought it the first time, and you had to be a moron to see fires everywhere and go mostly peaceful.
Not to mention that the Antifa flags are black and red to symbolize either anarcho-communism or anarcho-syndicalism.
And by the way, the only thing I can show you are covers, and that's one more reason why I thought this was basically the creation of an Antifa member, because the symbolism is there. Everything is there.
It would be great if we could get that in an objective way, but we're never going to, because the people on the right see Antifa as basically the ultimate evil in a lot of ways. Not that they're entirely wrong, mind you. And the people on the left view Antifa as virtuous anti-hero freedom fighters at worst. So that we're never going to get that kind of objective look at an Antifa member from somebody like Ed Brubaker. I wish we could, but that ship sailed off the edge of the earth and into the abyss several years ago.
Okay, let's see. Let me read off a little bit of this. Dark Admiral saying he doesn't see it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. That could be a possibility too.
I didn't really see it until you mentioned it, and now I can kind of see it.
This opens with a murder. He says, "This isn't how I imagine my life would ever be, but you don't always have a choice, do you? And let's face it, I've become pretty good at this, killing people who deserve it." And yeah, you could sit there and ask what gives me the right to make that judgment, but that's just your defense, your alibi for not doing anything, because the world is shit right now, and we all know it. Just look at the news for 5 minutes, and it's obvious. Big business controls your government. Assholes go on shooting rampages almost daily. By the way, this is actually after he went on shooting rampage. Terrorists blow up airports and train stations. Cops kill innocent black kids and get away with it. Psychopaths run for president. Oh, and the Middle East is one nuke away from turning us all into dust. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
The thing that made me not originally clue on to the thing you clued on to was this kind of monologue could have been said at any point between now and the 80s, and it would still be just as applicable. So I didn't see very much TDS when I read into it the first time. I just thought this was the system is broken and no one can fix it. Basically the kind of monologue you would get from Dexter or Hannibal back in the day.
The fact is, there's no justice. Bad people get away with everything. and greed is destroying the entire fucking planet. We all know this is true, but we refuse to really let ourselves believe it. We cling to fantasy, to hope. We say shit like the arc of time is long, but it bends towards justice when it so clearly does not. I don't know anybody who's ever said that, though. Let me finish this. It bends towards fascism and mass graves. But we sit at our screens and fill our heads with noise and scream at each other as if it's going to change anything. I get it. I used to be like that too, but now my life is different, obviously. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I always do that, and this isn't the beginning. And then, of course, it goes back.
Yeah, so but here's the thing. The only people who say things like the arc of history bends towards justice are people who have bought into the Hegelian historical dialectic, which is the source for all of this shit. Like, people will swear up and down about Marxism and cultural Marxism and shit, but here's the thing. Marx was an unoriginal hack who stole all of his ideas from his contemporaries. Those contemporaries being the neo-Hegelians, who, as their name would imply, got most of their shit from Hegel. So the only people who make these kind of deterministic claims about history as it's unfolding are Hegelian twats, and that's usually these kind of people. So I don't know who you've been hanging out with, Mr. Brubaker, but yeah, only people who have bought the Hegelian historical dialectic hook, line, and sinker would ever say something like that, because most of us understand the idea that history is not written yet. Sorry.
All right. I'm still wondering where Dom is. Okay, so, well, this was one of the things that, and this, by the way, we're on the first issue. Well, actually, I don't know if we can. We're not going to go issue to issue this time. I'm not showing them off. I'm showing off covers and everything. It is, by the way, here's the thing. I had this problem with this book, and I'm going through it, and I'm pointing, and I'm just actually thinking this book is not perfect. It is a decent book. Don't get me wrong. I want to read all 20 issues. I want to see how this thing ends. But I'm now 6 issues in, and there are no characters. There is no character whatsoever in this book. I thought there would be. I thought there would be, like I would see an arc. I would see change. But beyond being better at what he's doing in the very beginning, his character isn't changing. His person is not changing. There are no arcs. There's no person to root for in this book. There's no real protagonist. There's a main character, but you're not. I mean, he's not even a good guy, and he's not. You know, he's Luke Skywalker. He's Neo. He's the person that we're supposed to be following, that we're supposed to put ourselves into. But there's nothing really to grab onto with him at all.
I think what we're supposed to relate to, insofar as we're supposed to relate to anything, is the like Travis Bickle or Arthur Fleck style misery that led him to this position.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I don't know if he did this well enough to tell you the truth. All right.
I mean, I didn't mind it because I don't really require that characters change in order to find them interesting. So,
well, I mean, you do have the Seinfeld thing and such, but what I'm saying is just there was just nothing for me to grab onto where it's like, okay, I like following this person. The thing that gets me is the situation. That's what I'm jumping into. I want to see if this is, and I want to see naturally. I'm not skipping ahead or anything. I want to see where this goes. I want to see if you're right or I'm right on the psychological thing. At issue number 6, we're introduced to an FBI agent, I believe it is, who has noticed that this killing might tie into that killing, and she's starting to put together. And his picture has been put into the paper. So things are changed now, and that's propelling me to find out what's going on in the next few issues. Mm-hmm. What's not propelling me are the characters. Just, I honestly don't care about the characters. I care about the story itself. It's weird. Because usually I always say, if you don't care about the who, you don't care about the what and the why, but go figure, the what and the why actually has me very intrigued. But I think it would be more intriguing if it was somebody that I could grab onto and say, yes, this is a great character and I want to follow.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm more interested in the fallout of the situation and so on than I am really him as a character. That being said, I don't always connect to characters in general anyway, so that may also just be me.
Okay, so let's see. Dalton invoking Hegelian philosophy. George Friedrich Hegel was a strange bird. I remember reading him back in the day, but I do not have a head that remembers that anymore.
Well, but here's minor...
I actually, by the way, also stopped my philosophy classes because I realized I was learning what other people were thinking, and I would rather go off and
figure out what you were thinking on things.
Yeah, and then maybe later in life I'll start reading philosophy again and find out who I'm more like after I've set. I don't want life to be colored by somebody else.
The same thing ended up kind of happening to me, although in my case it was because college really did a number on me and I burnt out really badly, but that's neither here nor there. Thing about Hegel and Marx. I alluded to this earlier, but to me, we should not be using the phrase cultural Marxism because here's the thing. Marx's only innovation on the neo-Hegelian or Hegelian historical dialectic was taking the thesis-antithesis dichotomy that Hegel gave to his inheritors and hyperfixating on their economic element, with obviously the bourgeoisie proletariat thing. But the thing is, the Frankfurt School twats who created quote-unquote cultural Marxism really just took Marx's economic analysis and took it back to its historical and cultural roots. So in my epistemology, we should stop giving Marx so much credit for being an unoriginal hack who ripped off all his ideas from better thinkers than him and just call cultural Marxism Hegelian or neo-Hegelian revivalism, because that's what it essentially amounts to if you actually know anything about this group of thinkers. And I, to my shame, know far too much about this group of thinkers because I took several classes on French and German philosophy within the 19th century, and so I know these guys back to front pretty damn well, much to my chagrin.
Yeah, I appreciate somebody who knows philosophy and such because like I said, I did study it at one point in time, but
I love philosophy, but like with so many subjects, academia has completely ruined him. It's just ruined from top to bottom now.
Yeah.
We need to go back. We need to go back to like the Neoplatonists or the scholastic system or something, because god damn it, modern day academia.
Of course.
It's just a farce.
Let's see if I can spark a memory on what in it, because really this is I read up to issue number 6. And this is a very simple story because it's almost like wash, rinse, repeat. And in this case, like I said, I like the story. It was the characters I have an issue with. But he starts to find it's hard to, his whole thing is, I've got to go out and I've got to find somebody to kill. Who really is worthy of a killing? And in doing so, he goes and he finds he goes to a strip joint, knowing that, okay, bad guys go to strip joints. All right. I used to frequent them. Thank you very much when I was 18, but because it was like, oh my gosh, boobs, it was, I didn't see any Russian mafia, although there was one in this book. And he ends up not only shooting one of the guys in the mafia, but he thought that they were trafficking. They weren't. They're trafficking the ladies. He ends up shooting one of the ladies he was supposed to kill. I thought that was a great moment. I mean, hey, shoot that whore. No, it wasn't like that. But it's like, okay, this is at least we're seeing the stumbling blocks.
The problem of an inexperienced vigilante. Sometimes you misfire.
One thing I always hated in superhero comics, it's like, I have an origin. Now I can use my powers perfectly. The whole point of the X-Men is they were supposed to learn how to use their powers perfectly. But a lot of comic books have the hero get their origin. And then they, like, I think Dazzler was fighting Galactus in issue 12. You know, it's just maybe.
Yeah, like not on your life, darling. No.
Wait at least until issue number 48, like the Fantastic Four. You know, Dazzler's taking them out, right? You know, okay, no, we're not.
Well, they've played all sorts of silly buggers to the power scaling with Galactus in general. Anyway, like
yeah,
some days he's right up there with the biggest of the cosmic entities, and some days his own Herald can kick his ass if his Herald wants to, which to me has never made sense, because you're getting the bulk of the energy of the Heralds comes from Galactus, and yet.
Well, let's you know what, everybody says, well, Marvel died. You know, the day Marvel actually died was when Squirrel Girl beat Galactus.
Yeah, that's fair.
What was the change my mind? Let me put that right below me here. So yeah, change my mind.
I always put the day Marvel died somewhere in the aftermath of the first Civil War, like One More Day, World War Hulk, Planet Hulk, etc.
That's when I stopped reading, really. I read Skrull Invasion. I think that was the last thing I read, where I was like, okay, yeah, let me see how this ends. And after that, I was like, you know, they brought back all the heroes. There's nothing. I got slapped in the face with nothing's permanent. You know,
and for me, the moment that broke everything was when Brother Voodoo has to replace Doctor Strange because he screwed up, and he calls himself Dr. Voodoo, not because he actually has a degree or anything, but because he's replacing Doctor Strange. And I'm like, that's not how that works. The title isn't. Yeah. The title isn't transferable along with the title of Sorcerer Supreme. I don't care if you think it makes you sound more badass. God damn it.
Well, we're gonna go off the rails here and stop talking about Kill or Be Killed. I can see it coming right now. Let's see. Dazzler can kick anyone, but with roller skates on. Superman's production budget is reportedly $400. You know what? Hold on, comics. I'm gonna stop you right there. All right. I don't give a fuck. There's this whole thing now. Oh my gosh, can you believe it's so? And it's going, let's lose money. Big fucking deal. I mean this. Big fucking deal. Do I want things to be successful? Yes. But when I'm scrolling through Netflix, or if I'm looking at my DVD shelf, or if I'm looking at whatever streaming service, I don't go, what movie made $1 billion? You know, I don't do that. That is smoke and fucking mirrors in order to get clicks and views. And don't get me wrong, I do this for clicks and views. I'm not one of the, they only do it for, fuck yeah, I do this for click and views. But the thing is, right now it's an easy way, because that's what everybody's talking about. You know, that's the trending topic. Why? Do you actually go, you know what, I'm not going to watch, what was that movie? Hollywood, the one with Gladiator. The dude from Gladiator, the Hollywood something or other. It went against Titanic at the Oscars. Better film, but it made less money. It made $50 million. Titanic made billion. So was Titanic a better film than Hollywood Confidential? No, it wasn't. Hold on, and that's the whole thing about this focus on this movie made so much goddamn money. It must be good, or it must be bad. Fuck that. Are you telling me that Mufasa was a fucking good movie, or Lion King was a good movie because it made $1 billion? The live action version, I'm telling you, get the heck out of there.
At least in theory, it is slightly different now, because it's a lot easier to rally people via the internet and via social media to support movies that are good, or to
but that's not what's going on. That's not going on. Thunderbolts is good. Nobody's seeing it. Nobody was saying how fucking awesome was. Even what you call the Mission Impossible is doing well. No, actually, they've never really made it freaking $1 billion.
Yeah, they keep
point being is,
the budget larger for those, and it keeps
nobody's talking about the bank on a movie as if as if, oh my gosh, we should go see this because it made look, Avatar made $2 billion. There's not a lot of people on the internet going, holy crap, that's the best movie ever because it made the most money.
If anything, its success just makes people resent it more, as they should.
So
because my God, why?
This whole thing about, we got to talk about, well, this cost $800 million. They'll never make their money back. Ha ha. I mean, they sound like, what is his name? Fucking Nelson from Simpson, because they have a high budget and they didn't make. Get the fuck out of here, because you're not going to care when it's on Netflix. You're not going to care when it's on Prime or whatever you have. You're not going to go, okay, this is it. But because this is the topic, we have to follow through. Like, look, and let me tell you, this has been my reaction to the Fantastic Four movie. Okay, well, I might as well get rid of this because we've left.
You went on for about 10 minutes there, and I was like, I guess this is dead now.
This has been my reaction to the Fantastic Four. Well, that actually looks good. I love the aesthetics. Okay, yeah, holy shit! Did you see that trailer? Okay, I am now excited for this. Fucking hell, Pedro Pascal, can you shut the fuck up for 5 minutes? Let me enjoy a movie without thinking that you're a douche. Oh, good Lord. Oh,
no, he is constitutionally incapable of that, I think.
Oh, my God. What do you mean Johnny Storm's going to be a cuck? I don't get what. Why are you telling us this?
What do you mean Sue Storm isn't going to be a proud mother and a matriarch of the family?
Wait
and is in fact going to...
Yeah, okay. What, y'all are mad that they're focusing on Sue Storm? She's a character she's a main character in the Fantastic Four. If you were doing characters, it would be Sue and Reed as the main characters and Johnny and Ben as the side characters. Unless we decided to focus on one of those characters. Why is everybody mad at that?
They bumped Reed down to.
I know you're trying to talk over, but here you go. The fuck you talking about, Pedro Pascal? And we don't know how little or how much Reed is gonna. If Sue is a main part of the the main character they're following, Reed should also have a strong following. We haven't heard that, but let me tell you this. Hold on, I have heard that. Oh well, they cucked Reed. Reed is the one that turns around and he says, "We will protect you." Reed takes that masculine role in saying that. That is the man's job. When he is, if you think about Fantastic Four as the family, when you think about them being the protectors of the world, Reed stepped up as the head of the household, looked at the earth and went, "We will protect you." That is in the trailer. Hopefully it's in the movie. I still hold that I will wait for the movie to make a final decision, but god damn are they making it hard for me to do. Seriously, I'm not even bothered so much by the female Silver Surfer. The thought I had was, I voiced my protest. It's done. Let's see how they do it. Okay? I'm not going by a first trailer because CG could be made better, or they could ignore it and just let it fly. So I'm willing to wait for the movie. But goddamn, they are making it hard for me to be excited for this film. That's my take on that. So I don't care about I'm not talking about the box office stuff. I've seen stuff from Superman that I like. I've seen stuff from Superman that I don't like. The bit where the monster's awesome. The bit where the dog is nipping at his heels and he's kicking him away and all that kind of stuff. Everybody with a dog has that. And it just seems to me like what's his name? The Gunn was playing with his dog and thought, oh, that'll be cute to put in the movie. And that part has me nervous. Anyway, that's my rant. Go on ahead. Back to Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah, sorry. I was already kind of iffy on Fantastic Four because of the stupid thing they did with Doom, making him an alt universe Tony Stark and crap.
That actually, I thought you shot yourself in the foot before you filmed one.
We're as of right now, or I guess I should say, as of July, we will have had 4 different Fantastic Four adaptations, and in none of them did we get Doom properly done.
The Roger Corman did the best Doom, by the way.
Which is just sad, given that movie was made for like $5. It was never even
a handshake and a piece of gum. That was the budget for that movie.
It's so sad to me that I will be your age probably by the time we see an attempt at a decent do.
35. Anyway, Rhaegar saying, Dalton, I took a seminar on Marx. It just made me grow to despise Marx even more. Isn't there a Sorcerer Supreme called Sorcerer Supreme? Really? Sorcerer Supreme just makes me want to tell them, don't put all the sour cream on one end of the tie.
Not to the best of my knowledge. The first Sorcerer Supreme that we're aware of was Agamotto. Then there were a couple ones that I don't think even get named. Merlin was the Sorcerer Supreme for a little while, surprising no one. Then I think just after him was when the Ancient One that Doctor Strange studies with takes over. And then in the original timeline, which I'm still defaulting to because all this playing musical chairs with the title of Sorcerer Supreme pisses me off, in the original canonical timeline, Doctor Strange is supposed to stay Sorcerer Supreme for several thousand years in his own right and become the new Ancient One and eventually pass his title to Krugar, which to me is the correct sequence there. I don't like this every time Strange screws up, which frankly he shouldn't be screwing up this often anyway. But every time Strange screws up, we just play musical chairs with whoever the most popular Magic user character is, and they get Sorcerer Supreme status for now. And it's like, it's not how that works. It's not how it's ever worked, and it's a very good reason why it shouldn't work that way, because it's lame and sucks.
Okay, so let's see. Quality Under Radar, Buzz versus Quick Bucks. That's the movie. They're actually people who swear by Avatar. I like Avatar. I don't think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's a beautiful film.
I hate them.
But it is entertaining, and it annoys Dalton. So anything that annoys Dalton gets an A+.
Yes, thank you. We apparently don't need Ash anymore. People would just start doing that pro bono now.
Let's see. People have seen DP3 again, saying it's trash. What's DP3?
Deadpool
3. Oh, the Wolverine Deadpool. Okay.
It's a fun movie. It's not well put together. Is the problem?
That's a good way to put it. It is it's. I watched it the second time I watched it. I went, huh. Yeah. It's
a series of vignettes that are interesting in and of themselves, but they don't really fit together.
In the theater, when I saw it the first time, there's a fight. The fight in the car. Wolverine stabs him through the brain, and Deadpool just keeps fighting. Excuse me, you guys already established that Deadpool gets stabbed in the brain, and he's loopy. He's loopy for a while. So that I had a problem with that kind of stuff.
But that wouldn't make for an interesting action scene, and therefore we will ignore our own rules as and when it suits us.
Yeah, Black Mirror is better storyline than most movies lately. I've actually been on a kick. I gotta start. I'm either gonna do like a big old tier list, or I'm going to do individual reviews. But I've got a movie channel that it's called The Unprofessional Critics, that we just neglected. And I think the only review I have on it is of Netflix's Archie movie. I don't know if you guys know this, but about 2-3 years ago, whenever we started the channel, Netflix put out an Indian Archie. I mean, like from India, not take a scout Indian. I mean, good old fashioned. Oh, hello, thank you, come again. That Indian, right? And it was a thing to behold. It was wonderful. It was absolutely fantastic. It amazed me that India got America in the 1950s better than what I was seeing in America.
Riverdale.
Yeah. Definitely. It was a wonderful film. But I want to do a bit where I want to talk about the movies I've seen and such. I forgot what brought me to this. I'm losing interest in movies years and years ago. It's all about comics have been for me, and a little bit of the toys. Yeah.
This reminds me. Have you seen Sinners yet?
This is what this is what I was what kicked me off there. I have noticed a lot of TV shows have the writing that movies lack now, but I have seen some really good films. I've seen some really good films that people say are bad. And I've seen one or two shitty ones, but
have you seen Sinners yet?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought It was a decent movie. It had its moments. It was decent. It also had its moments where I was like, why is that in the movie? Why do you feel you needed that in this movie? But overall, I think it was an overall positive experience. Yeah.
I guess I got more on the Sinners hype train than you did, because
Maybe you did, but
I'd be very surprised if a movie knocks Sinners off the #1 spot when I make my top 10 movies of 2025 list.
My most anticipated film was Mission Impossible. It was very, very good. I don't know where everything lays. I've got my list, but I don't know where everything lies. I try to have 50 movies watched by the end of June, and I'm on like 38. So I need 12 films from here to there. I understand you. I'm getting less excited about FF the more I hear about it, says Black Spiders. Yeah, I want to like it. I'm going in with a positive view. I love the aesthetics of the film. FF movie poster looks horrible. I love, once again, I like the aesthetics, but I agree with you on the AI thing. Okay.
Yeah, the 60s pastiche thing is the main thing that's working for me about Fantastic Four.
Let's see. But what I'm saying is that if you look on the internet, it says comics, and you look at all the posts, all the videos, you go ask all the rumors, all the sources. What are all the sources? I mean, I know if you look at the black pills, you're always going to get the same message, but I'm talking about what are all the sources. Now, I see also that she says the movie is in big trouble. We've been hearing this for now, and the editor has been removed. They cut 20 minutes off. Big fucking deal on that one. Anytime you hear somebody go, oh my God, they removed every movie goes through this process.
That being said, I really wish we could.
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it hurts. Daredevil is one of the greatest examples of they made a decent movie bad by editing. The Justice League obviously is probably the biggest.
That being said, I really wish we could go back to a time where they would get the script right the first time and they wouldn't have to rewrite entire thirds, fourths, and fifths of the movie on the fly every 5 minutes.
One of the big problems, and I think that Kevin Feige needs to be fired. I think, you know what, you did great. You know, that's awesome. That's awesome. But there's
got us through phase 3. Please step down now.
There is no more gas left in your tank, son. You played a good 7.5 innings. It's time to remove you from the field. That's how I feel about Kevin Feige. That's obvious, by the way. He's thrown so many strikeouts at this point. And this is shows that I would even say are shows and movies I would say are decent. Some people don't like, you know, but then again, you and I go through the what is it, phase 4, phase 5 of the MCU, and you like different things than I like. And What If is the most horrible show Disney Marvel has ever produced.
I still don't know why on earth you put She-Hulk or Falcon and the Winter Soldier above that.
Because What If has a premise, and they don't even follow the premise. What if is, what if this happened? That means that had to have been able to happen, okay, in the regular movies. Now, what they're telling you is that when Tony Stark is being struck, when he is getting the bomb going off in his chest, the whole 9 yards, Kilgore is over the next dune.
Killmonger. But yeah.
Killmonger, yeah. He's over the next dune. And he's doing nothing. He's just there, and then, oh, okay, I get to... No. Okay, also, they're telling you that Hank Pym is mad at S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's going to kill a whole bunch of innocent people. You know, they don't even get the premise right. It has to be something that can actually happen. It has to have, like, a fork in the road.
A causal mechanism.
Yeah, this character went to this point, and in the movies, they went right. But in the What If, they went left. You know, left is usually bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, and that's one of the, at its basis, What If is a shitty show. With one good one, the zombie one, by the way.
I would say there are a couple good ones in there. The Doctor Strange episode was pretty good. The assembling the Guardians of the Multiverse finale of season 1 was pretty good. I haven't watched much of season 2, so I can't weigh in on that much. Although I did like the episode with Agatha and Kingo, and when I'm praising something that is tangentially related to the Eternals movie, you know there must be doing something right, because my God,
in all
Eternals
honesty,
got everything wrong.
because I hated season 1 so bad, I never went back. So season 2, season 3 may have fixed some problems. I might give them a chance sometime.
I didn't like the overarching story of season 2 though, because they retconned away Supreme Strange's hero arc, and I hate that.
Okay.
Being that as it may, I do not have anything like as much hatred for What If as I do for things like She-Hulk, the Eternals.
She-Hulk was garbage. You know what? When I saw the second episode, I thought, okay, if they go this direction, She-Hulk's going to be good. Woo! And I liked the one where they had the Porcupine Man and they were all sitting around in the therapy thing. I thought that is She-Hulk the book. That, when we're talking about the Peter David run, the Dan Slott run. Yeah, and by the way, this was Peter David and Dan Slott. This was not John Byrne She-Hulk like they were trying to sell it as.
Yeah, which it should have been, and had it been, we wouldn't have be in this mess. But that's neither here nor there. The best thing that Marvel TV has produced, for me at least, is Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night is freaking amazing.
That was really good. Yeah.
It is, I think, number 9 on my top 10 of all the MCU projects list. And
wow, you're too funny. Well, thank you. I don't know what I said to deserve that, but there you go. Oh, by the way, never mind. I lost my train of thought.
And I lost my train of thought in the process of you.
A Country for Old Man, powerful movie. I liked it. Let's see, like the shower scene in Star Trek Troopers. Why? What was her name? Dizzy is hot. That's why. Let's see. History of Violence, great storytelling, and not a lot of people know that's a comic book movie. But yeah, the History of Violence was excellent. I loved that one, as well as Road to Perdition, which is another comic book movie. There were a couple of them that came out people don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because there have been so many duds like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and She-Hulk, good shows like Daredevil, Born Again, and Agatha All Along get slept on, and that pisses me off.
Well, that's what happened. I do believe that's what happened with Thunderbolts. Everybody who saw the worst thing I heard about Thunderbolts was it's all right. I mean, it was entertaining for a while. I watched it. I may never watch it again, but it was all right.
I would say Thunderbolts is competent, and in a world where so many of these projects wind up being utterly incompetent, competence measures accounts for a lot more in a sea of incompetency than it would in a sea of actual quality.
Yeah, it's idiocracy. He
being said,
becomes the smartest man alive just because everyone around him is dumber.
They did kind of shoot themselves in the foot by choosing the cast that they chose for Thunderbolts, because that meant tying into a bunch of projects that were various degrees of bad.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I mean, it was fun. It was entertaining, and yeah, I think it was a good film. I like the fact with Thunderbolts I'm talking about. I like the fact that they didn't go big and have a lot of unnecessary. Here comes the army of faceless, nameless characters for us to fight as a distraction until we actually get to the end. It was brought down. As a matter, it was scaled down. It became a more personal story, and Marvel doesn't do that very much. And that's one thing I liked about this. But I think it got nerfed by Captain America and the Red Hulk of Love. I don't think that it was. I think that really hurt it, because a lot of people went and saw that and didn't come away thinking greatest film ever. Yeah, Marvel is back, and it's like Suicide Squad versus the James Gunn Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the James Gunn Suicide Squad was so much better, but unfortunately, the sting was already stung, and so despite the fact that James Gunn's Suicide Squad was entire worlds better than David Ayer's version, the stink of David Ayer's version had already rubbed off. So no sequel money for you.
I remember watching Lilo and Stitch in theaters. I was not impressed they changed the social message at the end. I haven't seen the live action. I am going to go see a movie tomorrow. It depends on what I'm going to see. Depends on if my wife goes with me. I wanted to see 4 films this week, but I am tired.
You're probably gonna really hate what they did to Lilo and Stitch. I will not spoil it for you, but
if
my
I see
God.
It. What did I watch? I actually I watched The Accountant 2 recently. That's just badass. The Accountant, that was just good stuff right there. What else did I see? Oh, I saw a couple of documentaries, which I enjoyed. One was, God damn it, what did I watch? Okay, the documentaries. What the fuck did I watch? Because I'm sorry, my brain's doing that thing where I just stopped.
EXE has crashed.
I did see a movie called Luckiest Man on Earth about this dude who went on a TV show called Press Your Luck. He memorized the patterns, and he just kept winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And it's like the behind the scenes and everything like that. That was a really good movie. What the fuck were those documentaries? Oh, Small Mall Apartment or so. Oh, Secret Mall Apartment. That was good. And there was another one. Oh, George Romero's Resident Evil. They made a documentary about his script and what it was going to be versus what we got, and the basic ins and outs of why they hired George Romero. I mean, we all know why. And then why they decided not to go that way. And which was
the wrong decision, by the way, just so we're clear.
Holy shit. Yes, it was. Let me tell you something, man. I was like, okay, I get it. I get what they were doing. They wanted, because it was hot at the time. If you guys, some of you may be too young to remember, in the 90s, they were big into PG-13 horror films. Even if they remade the 80s, it was still like Prom Night was PG-13, no sex, no blood, And by all accounts, George Romero's was a fucking slaughter fest, blood and guts everywhere. And some executive came in and went, no, we're taking all of it. He's fired. And a lot of the reaction is, who the fuck fires George Romero off of the zombie picture?
Cue the Grail Knight from The Last Crusade going, you have chosen poorly.
You have chosen poorly. Well, look, you can't get past the fact that when you get to a certain point, your job isn't creative. Your job is, we need to make money. So if we spend 10 million, we got to make 50, that kind of thing. And in that way, Resident Evil, the first movie at least, worked. Let's see, I saw the Pee Wee Herman documentary.
To be fair, I want to see the alternate universe where they kept Romero, because I'm almost positive that it would have made more money with a creative genius of the zombie genre like Romero behind the helm. If for no other reason, then everyone and their dog would go, oh my God, you have to see this.
We saw,
as opposed to just, it's all right.
We saw the Bring Her Back horror film. That was actually good. I think it's an A24 kind of thing. It wasn't scary. It was disturbing. That's
what everyone keeps saying about it. Everyone I've asked or everyone I've watched reviews of say that it's less scary than it is just psychologically torturous to watch.
Recently I saw the Final Destination Bloodlines. It's all right. I mean, if you like
the formula for those, you will like that movie.
It's all right. It's all right. Okay, so here's the thing. Bloodline, the Final Destination movies are snuff films. If you can't escape, then we're just waiting to watch everybody die. So it's a snuff film. It's just a fake snuff film. By the way, I do know places where you can. I'm kidding. I do not know that. For legal reasons, I do not know that. No, but Facts. Accountant 2 is great. You are right about that, Black Spiders. But they set this thing up so it's supposed to encompass the entire series. The big thing that happens in 1960s. So this woman saved all these people's lives, and death, because so many people were saved and so many people were born after that, took so much time to get around to this new family.
Yeah.
So, like, he isn't an all-encompassing entity. Instead, he's like a figure. He's actually somebody who has to walk from town to town.
I mean, it's a big universe. I'm sure there were other things on his list to deal with.
That was the premise. But what it says is because grandma survived and she wasn't supposed to, none of us were supposed to live. So death is taking us out by our ages. So oldest first. Wait a second. You're tying every movie into this one, yet the parents in the first one didn't die. The parents in the second one didn't. This is the only one. So,
which honestly explains why death is so vindictive in this movie, because imagine being, death, the cosmic force of the universe, and then one little, cosmic glitch means you now have entire generations of people to deal with that you didn't have to deal with before, and they keep stymieing you on top of that. Like, it's not just a one-time thing, okay, I can kill them all. It's the more time I let this fester, the more they're just gonna keep flouting my rules. That's gonna really stick in your craw if you happen to be an entire force of nature.
I think the worst film I saw was a movie called A Clown in the Cornfield. But then I should have known, because it's a movie called A Clown in a Cornfield.
Okay, but in your defense, sometimes a title like that is an indication of awfulness, and sometimes it's an indication of, oh my god, I can't believe they managed that.
I thought it was going to be a stupid, fun slasher film. It was just stupid. They tried to take themselves way too seriously for a movie that's called A Clown in the Cornfield. That one was pretty bad. There's a movie on Prime called Holland. The fuck is that all about? I watched it and I'm like, okay.
Why are you just making a movie on Holland, though? Is the question?
No, it actually is Holland, Michigan, or something like that. Which, if it's a real place, I would love to go see.
Okay, that's even weirder. What the hell?
It just didn't align very well. I want to go see Friendship this week at some point in time, as well as what is it called? The Wes Anderson. Why the Clown in the Cornfield? Okay, I'm going to spoil it for you. Usually I hate spoilers, but fuck this film. By the way, Roger Ebert did that once. It was like, this movie is so bad, he just laid it all out so people didn't have to go see it. This movie is bad. It's because they're trying to kill the teenagers, because this group of teenagers are just bad seeds. It is basically the motivation of, what's that, goodness gracious, Cornetto
trilogy.
World's End, right? Wasn't, or no?
That was
World's End. No, the cop one. The cop one. It's the plot of that. Hey, they're bad for the town, so we've got to eliminate them. The fucking hell, guys! You know it in the chat. You know what movie I'm talking about. Please help my damn memory out. But the Clown in the Cornfield has that same plot. We have to kill this group of teenagers because they're bringing this town down a notch. So, yeah, it was really, really bad. But hey, okay. But yeah, I actually want to do a tier list or something where I'm going through all of the movies and talking about them and put it on our channel. By the way, it's our channel. I gave you a link and everything. That we've just neglected, really. Warfare was good. I remember seeing that. I'm just going through them. Oh, Hell of a Summer, man. Check this one out. Check out Hell of a Summer. It is a slasher comedy. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Not at World's End. It's not Shaun of the Dead. It's the one that's right in the middle. The fuck is that called? The fuck is that movie called? Not Cop and a Half. That's Burt Reynolds. The freaking hell am I thinking? I don't want to look it up. I want my memory to pop in as a
behave itself for 5 minutes.
Hot Fuzz. Thank you, Dark Admiral. That was a Hot Fuzz. Yeah, I hate it when my memory does this. I'm afraid I might be way early onset Alzheimer's. I hope it isn't starting now. I wanted a few more years, you know. But there you go.
Yeah, that's gonna be painful to watch.
Yeah, my mother and father, they went and got tested. Both of them have the gene. And when I told my mom,
oh crap and a half.
I was talking to my mother on the phone, and I told her, I said, I don't know, I'm just forgetting shit. It's weird. It's like, and I told her my analogy. You know, I'm walking down the hallway, and here's the words and the images and everything, and then all of a sudden, I walk into a blank, dark room, and I don't know what to say. I don't.
Yeah,
I did that with RDV, like his name. I've known RDV. He's been on this channel now 8 fucking years.
Hopefully that's just run-of-the-mill forgetfulness, but that might in fact be some Alzheimer's type.
I was chatting the way you and I are chatting right now. I was chatting to Zach. Forgot his name. I'm looking right at him. And how many times have I called you Dom? You know?
Although sometimes, or at least I hope sometimes, you do it deliberately. I hope you do it deliberately at least some of the time, or else I'm going to be very, very sad.
In all honesty, that's also a parent thing, because if you have more than one child, you will constantly call them by the wrong names.
How many times have you been yelling at Ashley and Elizabeth gets upset because you yelled her name?
Oh, they don't get. I do the same joke. Other Elizabeth, come here. You know, or other Ashley, come here. Yeah, it could be stress related. That very well could be. My stress level has jumped since we got to Muncie.
That being said, get yourself checked now so that you know ahead of time, please.
That's what I keep hearing.
I don't want to watch you go full Biden.
Every member of my family is telling me go back to Orlando, because my stress level is raised, and I'm always, I mean, it has gotten so, I'm never relaxed. I am always worried about the money situation now. I'm always worried.
Go to the doctor.
Gail, on the other hand, her blood pressure's gone down. So how can I ask her to go back?
The stress has been shifted, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But in any case, I say this is your friend, and I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat will agree with me. Go to the doctor now, not in 10 years when you've forgotten your own name, please.
So, yeah, maybe the hot boxing is making me lose my memory. That could be it, too. Well, I was hoping Dom would jump in at some point in time, and we would continue our discussion of the comic book and everything. Dom has not. Okay. That being said, I guess our point through all of this is read Kill or Be Killed. It's good.
It's a really good book, and it's going to be in my physical media library soonish.
It is flawed. It is in my opinion, it's a flawed story, but at the very least, it's a good story, if not bad characterization. I think it was a good recommendation, Dark Admiral, and I appreciate the fact that I read it. But yeah, I'm going to see. I'm going to see where it goes, and I'm going to read this all the way to issue 20. I did finish Camelot 3000. Holy Toledo, that is a great book. Yeah, I got to agree with Dalton, and that's coming from somebody who's stubborn as hell when it comes to. Yeah, I'm one of those people. What do you mean the finger got cut off? I've got 9 left. You know, it's just.
As your friend, and as a friend who knows exactly how horrible hospitals can be, because, you know, disability and shit, for the love of all that is holy, go to the doctor while you're still compass mentis enough to make that decision for yourself, because if Gail, Elizabeth, and Ashley have to make it for you, or God forbid one of us has to make it for you, that's not going to go well for anyone. So go now and fix the problem before it becomes a problem. Ideally.
Of course, you're going to say this, Dalton. You're a millennial, and every Gen X knows that millennials are pussies. All righty.
Let us back that whole premise up for a second here, because I have been jabbed with needles and surgeries and all kinds of crap since before I can even remember. Thank you, because I have cerebral palsy. So you can take that millennial or pussy comment and shove it right up the sundown side, and I don't care, frankly.
Yeah, no, actually, Dark Admiral, I did point out a lot of the flaws, but like I did say before that I will follow this to the end. I want to find out. It's a good story. It's bad. It's not fun characters.
He doesn't have a character to root for yet.
Yeah, but it's a good story. It is a good story, and I appreciate it, and I do recommend this. Also, talking about the movies like we have, I really do want to. I think when I hit 50, I'm just gonna do a tier list or something, and we're just gonna go through. It might, if you're welcome. This will be me talking about the movies I've seen, but if you want to jump on and comment, by all means do so. And when you get to one that you've seen, also, because I have a feeling you have not seen as many films as I have.
I just don't make it a point to see very many movies unless they do something to grab me or something to irritate me. I don't usually bother with them.
Gail wanted to watch The Woman in the Yard, and I heard that is a psychological horror more so because they made it in the previews. They made it look like a ghost story, and it ended up being a psychological horror. I kind of like those things a little bit better. She's into Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. Like you make Satan the big baddie, and my wife loves it. Those are the ones that scare her. But yeah. Alrighty, hopefully this will stick.
Yeah, but
at some point in time, I'm actually going to buy my glasses.
Yeah, but speaking of things we need to stick in E's memory, go to the doctor, E.
Go to the doctor. I will.
I am going to make it a point to mention this until you tell me you have gone to the doctor, because I do not want one of my best friends to go through the hell that is Alzheimer's. Please.
I will. I've been to the doctor. I had to get a couple of things checked out. I had a bad pain in my back where my kidneys are, so I had that checked out. And I don't know if you guys have noticed. And I'm a bit vain, by the way. I hate this right here. I see it too. But I also noticed I've lost a lot of weight, and a lot of it. I hate this because I'm a little bit more broad, in the shoulder area. I used to work out a lot more, and I hate that. But because of the fact that I lost so much weight since we got here so quickly, I went to check for the big, the gift that keeps on giving. Thankfully, so far, clean. But yeah.
Which goes back to you need to go to the doctor to specifically ask about the Alzheimer's.
Well, once you hit a certain age, you need to make friends with a doctor. But I don't like to. I don't want to tell Gail and the kids that I'm worried about myself. When I have something to worry about, I'll let them in.
Right, so, but they would probably rather get it seen to now when it might be, if not fixable, at least stymiable, than 10 years down the road where they have to basically treat you like your mother-in-law there, or was it? Yeah, your mother-in-law.
Oh, I don't. If you're, we're not friends. If you're comparing me to her, by the way.
No, but you see what I'm saying. You remember all those crazy outbursts that she did?
Yeah.
If you let Alzheimer's alone by itself for too long, you will start doing those things, and you will hate yourself for it, and you will have no option but to do it to people. And I know you don't like inflicting pain on others, so save them some pain and anguish later by at least confirming or denying whether you have it or not. Especially if both your parents have the gene. If both your parents have the gene and you are having memory problems, go to the doctor now, not in 10 years when you're an invalid. Not when, because I will start comparing you to Biden if I have to motivate you to go and.
I can compare myself to Biden right now. Biden sucks. I'm cool.
You know what I am referring to, and I am not above enlisting the chat into shaming you to go to the doctor. Right. So chat, shame him into going to the doctor until he goes. Damn it.
Oh, I'm a 55-year-old father of two who worked the gig economy until I'm dirt poor. You know what? I've got a lot to be ashamed about, which you guys can't hurt. I'm sorry. There you go.
we are going to freaking set up an intervention if we have to.
Yeah, if I felt shame, I would have put the makeup on the cold sore. Because yes, by the way, MK, it is a herpes. But according to my aunt, something I've been getting. I was born in El Paso. I'll tell people I was born in Orlando, because I don't know what fucking El Paso is other than a name of a city in Texas.
Mhm.
And I was raised since birth. Actually, what ended up happening is I was a very sickly baby. I was supposed to be dead. The doctor said if he lives to be 5, it's it's a miracle. He says
Been there, done that too.
He'll be dead by 5.
Yep.
And
I was also one of those. I had
Yep.
seizures until I was like 3 years old.
Yep.
And it made my mom and my aunt freaking pull their hair out basically every night.
I was born with pneumonia, and I've had it many times since. And definitely when I was a kid, the whole water thing, life has tried to take me out a couple of times. But I quickly was moved to Orlando to get into a better climate. And my aunt said, because they sent her to, she was a second mother to me. God bless her soul. She said, she goes, yeah, you've had these. I don't remember having them until I was like, I think it was 10 or maybe 12. No, when was Secret Wars out? That was when it was, because I remember I was reading Secret Wars and I fell asleep.
The first one was, I want to say like
84, 85,
or so?
maybe. No, it was before that. But it was, I think, as I remember, it was the one with Rogue on the cover that we were reading. Yeah, I don't know when that was. We want you to stick around, brother. I'd like to meet you someday and nerd out, or at least get a tablet or something I can come on and nerd out. You are more than welcome, Dark Admiral, for both of those things, by all means. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to meet everybody we're talking. I met Eric. He's only an hour and a half away. So we spent an afternoon, and it was really nice. It was really cool hanging out and talking to him. I always thought that even with like Comics Division and Weaponized Nerd Rage, Captain Frugal, that if we ever got together, I don't think the conversation would stop. Like it would.
Yeah, it would just be like picking up where we left off the last 5,000 times.
There would be no meeting. Like, oh, hi, I'm this and I'm that, because it would just kind of. And
we would just be like, the person I've been talking to at least 3 times a week for the last 5 years. Yeah,
so I was either 13 or 14 when I and ever since then, it's like like I said, it's every May, April, June. It's always at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year. These will pop up. And usually I'll let the beard grow out, but at this point in time, I shaved before I got one. So what you gonna do? Those groups are doing comic talk no more. Yeah, I know. The Comics Division is straight up politics. I thought about even making a channel to talk about these riots or something, but if I want to talk about them, I'll just pop them up here. I used to get messages like, what the fuck does this have to do with comics? Nothing. It's my channel. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. I love comics, but you know what? I live in a world with politics. I love movies.
And they keep enforcing them on comic books anyway, so unfortunately it becomes necessary after a while.
I know movies just as much, if not better, than comic books, tell you the truth. So, yeah, I want to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. Supposedly, I do not have the audience for it.
You might, if it weren't for Carlos Maza and the Adpocalypse.
At this point, I might have actually grown, because at the time, me and JSG were at the same rate. We were elevating at the same rate. He took off after he did the what was it? Somebody forgot Darth Vader was a villain. That went to 1 million views, but at the same time, I did the Ryan Johnson video, and that hit 600,000. And then right after that, I did the Monica Rambeau video that hit 400,000.
Oh, the why are people racist against Monica Rambeau thing?
And it was. But the thing is, he didn't get shadow banned. I did. And I think Carlos Manza, that was one thing, but I was told I was flagged. I was mass flagged, and I think that was war campaign.
Yeah, that was probably the spat with Ethan and company.
That fucking fat walrus had his people, and I'm a fat guy myself. I'm gonna say that, had his people attack me or something. I don't have any. I wish I had the proof. All I heard was mass flag, and around that time, the only people interested in doing that was a goddamn war campaign. So
well, that's the question. Are you being blacklisted by the SJW types, or which is possible, or are you being
I got
blacklisted
nailed by them
butthurt?
on a couple of videos, that for sure. And
Yeah.
you and I know we can't make money on our original movie channel because
it used to be a politics channel, and we tried to do an article where, was it the New York Times or was it Time Magazine?
No, it's Time Magazine, and they were admitting
to we fortified the election. Now give us credit for that, and that was it. And yet us reacting to them admitting to doing the thing they were doing and the thing they wanted credit for was so foreboding that we just we now have no channel anymore. There.
All right, I'm gonna send another message. Holy shit! All the whores came out to send me messages. What do we have? Claudia Fernandez, Doug 95. Let's see who's. Well, no, these aren't whores. I don't know who these people are. Oh, well, hold on. Tara is real life dating with strange. All right, is anybody else getting these messages on Twitter?
Yes, sir. They are called bots. They are the internet's equivalent of bacteria. Everyone gets bots.
I haven't been on for a little bit, so it's built up. It's like a freaking list this big. It's like, goddamn.
Yep. No, it's just the bacterial biomass of the internet, otherwise known as bots.
Let's see. We are doing oh shit, that didn't work. Discard. A bit of a hangout. I don't mind continuing the conversation because we haven't done just a hangout stream in a while, so just talking about random shit is a-okay with me right now.
This is also true.
Yeah. Let's see. The thing you got was signed Funko Pop by AVS and still backstabbed. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's his thing. You know, we did. I guess sometime we need to go back to that video and finish it because I saw they get to the Ed Piskor stuff. I would like to talk about that. I know nothing, by the way, other than I've seen a couple of his videos and I bought Grand Design, but I really don't know Ed Piskor. So I got railed though because I titled my video after an article, and the video was titled something like it was titled what they called Ed Piskor, and so I got nailed for the title because it's people like you that cause them to watch the fucking video, dumbass.
Yep. Yeah. People do not read past the headlines, either in video or in text form a lot of the time.
All right, Dom, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. My apologies for not being able to make it to this Monday's What You're Reading, because I was actually on a plane.
You were on a plane?
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you lived in more of a mountainous area. All right. No. Okay. Here you go. Quick thought, sir.
Gonna be killed. Ah, crap.
He didn't rate it. He didn't rate it, kids.
Well, I did read like the early issues, but I didn't get a chance to reread it because I've been busy packing my stuff.
Okay, Shame. So what you doing?
Well,
you going back home or going back to school?
No. I'm visiting California. We're going to hang out with the family and friends.
Don't get mauled by Antifa while you're over there.
I didn't say this, but this is Dark Admiral State. There you go. Yeah. Because this, remember, A Kill or Be Killed was his choice. So, yeah. Well,
what I can't say like when I did like read it like some time ago. I didn't know what to expect because it's a new series.
I never read it. I was my whole thing was poor characterization, great story. So, yeah. I didn't show any of the book because it's all blood, guts, and boobs. So
he and I went back and forth for like 20 minutes on whether the supernatural element was real or whether it was psychological.
Yep.
I, of course, was on the it should be real side because I hate the it was all in your head trope. he repped the more psychological position.
I think, well, I mean, it really does like blur. It really does like blur the line because it reminds me as well. This trope is being used. It's maybe magic, maybe mundane. Anyway, as for what he said earlier about poor characterization, but not a bad story, I can second on that.
There's just no arc. There's nothing like
I
he's
didn't.
an empty vessel all the way through 6 issues.
Yeah, I didn't mind the lack of characterization because I kind of clicked on as soon as I started reading it that this guy is the Arthur Fleck, or this guy is the Rupert Pupkin, or this guy is the Travis Bickle of the story.
They gave you a hook with Arthur Fleck and Travis Bickle. They got you on their side until they didn't want you on their side anymore for Travis Bickle or Arthur Fleck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you weren't. When he shoots Robert De Niro, you're not supposed to root for the Joker anymore. And
I mean, I did, but that might just be me.
And the same thing when Travis Bickle goes off the edge, you're supposed to see the horror of the process that got him to that moment. So, and by the way, let me say this: Rhaegar saying comic division does pretty good. He talks about things that is mostly up my alley. I agree. Good show. I wish I could be on it a little more often. I was on it once. As far as comics division himself, he's a friend. Love the man. He was on this channel for about 2 years, I think, before he broke off on his own.
3.
Yeah.
And, no, it was 3 because I remember
words.
I remember judging for the Frugal versus Comics Division episode of Comic Book Thunderdome. I actually used to send Comics Division a bunch of articles to cover on the more political streams he did, but 1, he started ignoring me, and 2, I had a falling out with Toxic Manflu, and Toxic Manflu was one of Comics Division's patrons, so unsurprisingly, I don't get mentioned anymore because I pissed off one of the patrons, and money trumps friendship, I guess.
Yeah, that I can understand that though a little bit. But
no, I can understand it. It's just it is a little bit like, well, we were friends at one point. It's kind of like with Gary. Gary, way back in the day before he got huge, always used to say things like, "Oh, we should do a video on the Netflix Castlevania. Oh, we should do a video on the new Unsolved Mysteries reboot and stuff and so on." And that never happened because I guess he never intended to follow up on any of that.
Well,
and it pissed me off.
He was on this channel quite a bit, and then when he started getting big, it was I'm persona non grata, except for. But here's the thing: he has never said he's never really said a bad thing about me, and I've never said a bad thing about him personally. I do think I do go after the whole point where I think he's audience captured. That's the only thing. But Gary is a great person. By the way, if you guys want to see, look up Comic Book Thunderdome, and I do believe they argued the best 1970s superhero. It's Gary. Yeah, it's Gary from Nerdrotic versus a young lady named Feisty Fangirl. And it was one of the best Thunderdomes we had. Those two went at it really well.
Those were great. I miss Feisty. She apparently caught TDS and started to badmouth a lot of us, which makes me upset. But
yeah, she went off the rails.
Similar to how JSG went off the rails over the "Don't Say Gay" bill thing.
Yeah, that's still like a heartbreaking fall from grace. But Feisty,
I always regret losing friends, especially if it turns out we were never all that friendly to be.
I don't want to be like that with just some guy. Are you kidding me? We were always. I mean, he was always more to the left than I was, but
more left of center.
I used to think we were pretty comparable as far as our political position, and then the "Don't Say Gay" bill happened, and I was like, have you actually read the thing? because
it never said don't say gay, but it's just
it was the euphemistic name that was appended to it. It had nothing to do with the actual content of the bill.
You're right. He went off the rails a bit, and yeah, we lost a friend of that. Say what you will about Gary's channel. Politics dude knows about comics. He's a genuine. Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't say anything
very much
about that. Once again, when I talk about the black pills, which I do believe Gary is the big dog in all of that, I talk about the audience capture. I'm
not sure if it's.
Well, let me finish my thought here.
Sorry.
What I mean by that is, they do a certain kind of video, and that is their game. That is absolutely it. And that's usually because you've done this video, and it's not working. You did this video, it works now forever, and that's your niche. A lot of channels do this, and that's what I talk about. Gary, but I love the guy. He's never been unkind to me, and I will never be unkind to him. But I will always tell the truth, because I owe the audience here the truth about what I am thinking and how I'm feeling. And such. So,
I honestly wonder with Gary if it's not so much audience capture as it is like network capture, because I always look at Gary before he met like Geeks and Gamers and Mahler and that set. And he was so much more a happy, down-to-earth person back then.
Well, no, I think he's a happy, down-to-earth person now. If you watch his videos,
and then as soon as Geeks and Gamers and company showed up, then it was a downward spiral. And as for the knowing comics and stuff, well, I can't speak to all his videos because I don't watch him all that often. But I will say that me and my friend, the Brainstormer of Pop Culture, ended up doing a 3-hour sort of EFAP of his review of Multiverse of Madness, and he got shit so obliviously wrong that no one who's ever read a Doctor Strange comic in their life would get wrong. And he was basing his criticism of the movie on that lack of knowledge. And as you might imagine, I spent like 3 hours ripping him a new one over.
A long time ago, I was talking to Richard, and I said, dude, I found your book on Amazon, Chosin or whatever it is. It's a trade paperback about the Korean War. And I said, if I read it, do you mind if I do a review? I don't, I want to, because we're friends. I don't want to go blasting things. And he was like, oh, go on ahead. Yeah. Say what you do, what you feel, and okay, on all that kind of stuff. And I read it. And I was like, ooh, no. That's actually when I started telling people, because I would get comics all the time. This is my comic I'm making. This is my comic. Can you review it? Can you review it? And every time, nobody stepped up, by the way, after I started doing this. I said, if you send me your comic to review, you better send me your fucking best, because I am not going to blow smoke. My loyalty is to my audience. And I actually said to Richard, Richard, you don't want me to review this. He actually told me to go on ahead, but I always thought, he's a friend. He
doesn't realize what he's asking for.
Yeah, the Chosin was a mess. I've never actually read what was the other one? The one with the big gorilla. EVS did the thing, and I forget.
You mean Jawbreakers?
Jawbreakers, yeah, and Iron something. Yeah, I never read those because Chosin pushed me away. It was that bad. Yeah, I mean, at least he's not.
Yeah, no, I remember reading.
I agree with that. Once again, yeah, I think asserting that he is not happy is a bold claim. Yeah, I hold on. First of all, that was said, but it was also I went off because I don't need a repeat of EVS. Jesus Christ. And oh, by the way, speaking of EVS, you mentioned Gary hanging out with the Geeks, and I know he's hanging out with the Geeks and Gamers. What's his name? The blonde guy. He's I think he's the boss of Geeks and not Geeks and Gamers.
Jeremy?
Jeremy. Yeah, that's it. Jeremy. He was more on Ethan Van Sciver's side during the debate. And it's kind of funny to watch because I remember one time a video came out and somebody included some quotes from me. and I'm watching Gary's reaction to it. I'm watching it's basically Friday Night Tights, and they're reacting to it. And I come on, I'm like, oh, that's me. And I hear Gary go, "Hey, England team!" And what's his name again?
Jeremy.
Jeremy goes,
Jeremy.
like he was like, that was right around the time of it was like right after the thing, and he was more on Ethan. That everybody was a lot of people chose Ethan over me or unranked Chevron during that. But it was kind of funny to see that.
I wish
and now everybody's like, fuck Ethan Van Sciver.
Yep. We were ahead of the curve on that one. Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Told you so. Not gonna say I told you so, but I did in fact tell you so. So
yeah,
there.
It's just funny that happened the way it did. I think far better example of very obvious audience capture is Benny Johnson, Candace Owens. Holy shit with Candace Owens! What the fuck happened there?
Yeah, the freaking flat Earth dinosaurs are fake arc there. Oh god.
Jeremy Griggs and EVS don't get it. Yeah, I know. That's why I thought it was funny with the joke there. Jeremy loved Force Awakens. So does that mean you're gonna stop listening to this channel too?
I mean, Force Awakens.
I liked Force Awakens.
Is probably the best of the sequel trilogy in that it was competent, but the other two were not. In various unique ways.
When it came out, I actually said I thought Last Jedi had enough Star Wars stuff to make it entertaining. By the way, that opinion has changed since.
I should hope so. Just like I hope someday you will take the blinders off and look at Joker 2 as a sequel to its original, and then
if you guys remember, I used to work at the AMC Theater out at Disney World at the time that Rise of Skywalker came out. And there is nothing that's going to make you hate Star Wars more than having to watch scenes from Rise of Skywalker over and fucking over and over and over again. If I see what's your name? Skywalker. No, it isn't. It's Palpatine. And it shouldn't even be that. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I think that if she had owned up who she was and tried to redeem her family name, because I'd been saying since before Last Jedi even came out that I think what they were trying to do is I actually called the Rey being descended from Palpatine thing before Last Jedi even came out, because I had the theory that what they were going to do was Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, is going to go on a downward spiral, and then Rey would need to therefore go on an upward spiral, so you'd get the breaking away from the sins or virtues of the father thing.
I actually thought they would switch, because if you look at the trajectory of the characters, Rey was more on a trajectory to go to the dark side, and Kylo Ren was on we lost him. Yeah, was on a trajectory to be redeemed.
My assumption was that they were going to meet in the middle and realize what I'd realized years ago, which is the Grey Jedi are the only ones who know what they're doing. They're the only ones who are a meaningful extension of the legacy of the Jedi, the original Force users in the Star Wars galaxy. Because you shouldn't shun the dark or the light. You should balance them both, you moron.
Let's see. What else we got? I've ticked Jeremy off a few times for calling stuff out, says Rhaegar, which I know you'll find. Well, you've defended him, but you know what? I've had a lot of that. I'm glad you haven't taken it to some other level, because we used to go like, well, what do you think about what EVS said? And I would give my opinion. Like, first of all, I didn't hear it, or somebody would tell me, and I would put opinion. And then maybe a minute later, our chat would be filled with war campaign and everything, because we're talking about EVS. And like, get these fuckers off.
Yeah, and he's like,
the fact that we've got 100 blue wrenches. And I was like, come on. This means that somebody was watching our show and went, oh my God, can you believe they're
yeah.
Just get the fuck out.
No, Rhaegar. Grey Jedi are the only ones who know what they're doing, and I will stand by that.
Iron Sights was okay. Close to how your boy described it. It was a straight to video kind of comic. All right. No, actually, by the way, I have the same story with the quartering. I was like, hey man, let's get together. Why don't you come on the channel? We'll chat. And then he blew up, and it was like, I am persona non grata. And that was while I was still on the upward trajectory.
To be fair, it was me who reached out for him on your behalf.
Yeah.
On your behalf.
I did send him a message. That just after that he was already too big for these books.
I remember distinctly you and I discussing it behind the scenes, and you saying, well, I don't like e-begging and I don't want to bother him, and I was like, well, I don't mind those things, so I'll do it for you. Huh. And then like the weekend after that was when the YouTube boost hit the fan and we got ignored, which I guess, to be fair, I don't mind as much, given that he went from 0 to 60 in the space of about 2 weeks. But
I know, right? So God bless
at the same time, it's a little bit like, you said we were going to do a thing, and then we didn't end up ever doing a thing.
Yeah.
Nerd.
The I do sometimes get a little, and this is just the green. What is it? The green dragon popping up. Because I had Nerdrotic on here. He got a little bit of internet fame, and he went off and he got huge. Thanks, and then Comics Division kind of did the same, jumped on that, and I appreciate it, man. The people who know you for this knew you from this channel, and yeah, I used to show people's videos to, okay, guys, if you would like to check out a decent video, go on, check that out. That had never been reciprocated. And here's the thing, I didn't do it. And when I did it, I didn't do it for, one day you might be in a situation to help me. I didn't do it for that, but it's like, nobody. No? Okay.
Sorry, I'm focusing on something Rhaegar said. Rhaegar, no. The dark and light of the Star Wars universe is not good or evil. This is a talking point that I hear bandied about a lot, and they don't know anything about how George Lucas actually set up the world building in the Star Wars universe. To George Lucas, a big influence on the way the Force worked is the Taoist conception of the yin and yang, or also the post-Jungian conception of the shadow and the id and ego and superego. So both in terms of lore, because the Jedi lore exists, the ancient Jedi lore exists, but also in terms of how George Lucas built the universe, dark and light is not good or evil. Dark and light is something akin to the superego and the id of the universe. You're supposed to find a balance between the dark and the light, which is why, and I will maintain this, the Grey Jedi, and of course by extension the ancient Jedi, who the Grey Jedi are kind of returning to, are the only ones who know what they're doing, because they're the only ones who know how to balance their id and superego effectively.
And you guys are so inside baseball right now.
Oh boy.
Dom, you all right?
Yeah. The StreamYard kicked me out. Because there were some technical issues.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can tell that you guys are. So I moved on to audience chasing or network chasing to Star Wars.
Now they're on to Star Wars, but whatever you wish to talk about, we'll talk about. Well, you can even talk about my life story being I am poor and other people went forward and I didn't.
But
yeah.
Anyway, I responding to what Rhaegar just said. The only reason why neither the Jedi nor the Sith are good is because they both need to balance each other. The Jedi get rid of all emotion, including the positive ones, and the Sith hyperfixate on emotion, but they only focus on the negative ones. What needs to happen, like most of the Grey Jedi end up doing, and like the original ancient Jedi of the Star Wars galaxy ended up doing, the first Force wielders, is you need to balance the dark and the light, because it's not a good versus evil thing, it's an id versus superego thing, and you need to balance both to be an effective Force user. That's why the ones of Mortis are so much more powerful than everyone the frick else in the Star Wars universe, especially the father who stands between the light and the dark, because that's what you're supposed to do. God damn it!
Or
that
if
is
you want,
funny, by the way.
or if you want to push it even further, essentially with Michael Moorcock's Eternal Champion series, it's order versus chaos and not good versus evil.
There's
And
a Star Wars geek on the plane. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not one of those who read all the books and all that kind of stuff as far as Star Wars is concerned, because it's not as good as Star Trek.
But I do want to go back to Kill or Be Killed and ask, would you, do you two see yourselves continue reading this?
Yes.
Or just stick with volume 1?
No, I will. I'll read all 20. It's only 20 issues long. I'm hoping there's an ending. I'm reading it and I'm going, this story needs to end. This cannot be I know it ends at 20, but I'm hoping it ended at 20 and it wasn't canceled at 20, if you get my drift on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I got the drift. Well, speaking of which, this is actually tied back to Wes and Doc of Thinking Critical. Well, the two of them actually talked about what the 90s actually were, especially for comics, the original Iron Age, where it's not this objectively terrible event for sequential arts as most people would like to tout it as.
Really? Is that what they talked about, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Because at least back then, like in the 90s, during the original Iron Age, it was there was that. If you sell your books at 25,000 or less, that's automatic cancellation.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Let me see. Can I find it? Can I find it? Can I find it? Alrighty. Let's go with play all. But all I need to do is, oh great, it's telling me I can't show this. Let's see. Oh, here we go.
What are you trying to share screen with?
Okay, so what you're saying to me is, and I used to joke about this, about how Wes and Perch are basically doing videos I've already done 5 or 8 years ago. So what you're telling me is they did a video called Comic Books Were Better in the 1990s.
Essentially.
Wah, 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 wah.
But the thing is when Wes did that video not too long ago, it wasn't with him. Wasn't with him and Purge. It was between himself and Doc.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I was just kidding around.
No, I know.
I could probably
this happens
do this
worryingly often. Is the thing.
If I wanted to capitalize, continuing what Wes said, here's my video from 8 years ago. I started joking about it, and I do mean it as a joke. Look, things come around, and there's really nothing new under the sun. The whole point of Comicsgate, actually, it got created because I noticed we were all doing similar videos. That just kind of happened.
because.
But my whole take on this, let me finish this, and then you go. My whole take on oh my gosh, they're copying my video. They're not copying my videos. I know that, but the whole thing is, I always thought it was kind of, you remember that episode of South Park? Simpsons did it. Did it. Yeah, Englanty did it. Because every time they talk about something, that's the same problem we had 8 years ago when I was doing the video.
It's the problem of, if something is objectively true, multiple people will eventually discover variations on that objective truth.
So I jokingly say stuff like they go through my my backlog and they just remake my videos. It is a joke, and thankfully Perch got it, because one time on Twitter he posted my next video, and it was Comic Book Jeopardy, and I was awesome.
Good for Perch. Good for Perch.
He took it the way it was supposed to be. England is nerd. Very much so.
In the defense of the people who sometimes take it wrong, you deadpan better than anyone else I have ever seen, and it becomes entirely impossible to differentiate when you're serious some of the time.
Oh, I don't cook. Gail usually, and she definitely doesn't let me near her good pans. I don't know what a deadpan. If you're talking about the kind that have the stuff on the like you just burn too much hamburger or something like that, then I guess yeah. But those are usually cast iron, and you can use them anyway.
Are you done? Can I stop holding my breath so as to avoid having a brain aneurysm now?
Matt Walsh does deadpan. Yeah, I mean it's the only way I know how to deliver a line, really. Let's see. I read some of the extended universe, but it was years ago. Splinter in the Mind's Eye. I loved that book, by the way. Heir to the Empire was good. Yep. But I didn't go for like in the 90s and such when they had a lot of Star Trek and Star Wars books. I didn't follow them too much. I do deadpan pretty good, but I have nothing on him on Matt Walsh or on Dalton is right. You do deadpan with the best. Well, thank you, Dark Admiral. I certainly appreciate the.
And it sometimes makes me want to do very violent things to you when you go on an extended rant
sometimes
like that.
I say things that are a little bit too straight up. One of the times Gail got mad at me was when we were at Publix and somebody said, "Oh, where did you get the beautiful babies?" Which I think, fuck you, first of all. But I answered by leaning over and go, "Okay, I know a guy. Now, white babies are going to cost you a little bit more, but if you're willing to go at least his
I can imagine why Gail didn't like this.
Gail's behind me and her eyes are, stop that. The girl who was checking us out, she was standing in horror. And I was just like
I'm just imagining that scene from The Ninth Gate where the main villainess is looking for the book and she's like, okay, where's the book? And he's like, I have no idea. And she goes, don't F with me. And then, of course, he goes, I thought I already did. And she claws his eyes out. That's probably what Gail wanted to do to you at that moment.
I didn't break character either because I went, okay, I'm not allowed to talk about this here. So I'm going to go wait in the car.
Liana. Well, you forgot her name, but Liana Telfer was the character I was referring to.
I got to say, you delivering like your comedy, like in a deadpan, Norm Macdonald will be proud.
God damn, that's.
But one of these times, a joke like that's going to get you arrested, and I'm just going to laugh myself silly over it.
It got me in trouble at work one time. Because this guy comes out of the movie, I forget what it was, like Lionheart or something. It was around that time, and he's running, and he goes up, and our bathroom, the T fell off. So he goes, he's running, he stops, and he goes, "Is this the bathroom?" I said, "No, that's General Lemon's office." And so he starts going from theater to theater. And I'm just like, when is he going to realize? But the manager goes, what's this guy doing? I said, he walked up to the bathroom and he asked me if it was a bathroom. So I told him it was General Lemon's office. And I did just like that. No, that's General Lemon's office. And he says, I need to talk to you. And he goes over and he goes, the bathroom's over there.
There are days where I have wanted to physically strangle you when we're on a live stream and you say something deliberately stupid, and I'm just like, if I don't correct it, people are gonna think he's serious, and then we're gonna get in trouble. So I have to. I end up having to play the straight man just so that we don't get freaking nuked from orbit with the algorithm.
I used it to save my job once. Nikki Sixx came into our theater. And he's leaning on the camera. I'm like, that's Nikki. Now, I'm a Motley Crue fan, and I've got all the albums, man. I know the songs back, forth, upwards, downwards. And so I walk over. You're Nikki Sixx. And he looks at me. He goes, no. Go fuck yourself. And he just said it like that. No. Go fuck yourself. Which I thought, okay. He says, and he could have said, yeah, but can you keep it down? Because, I want to enjoy a movie or whatever. Or just, no, I get that a lot. Something like that. But he went, no. Go fuck yourself. And that just kind of, it's like, I didn't plan on being an asshole at that moment.
But
so
we're in this room now, as Wilbur would say. And so
over in the corner, there's a whole bunch of teenage girls just being teenage girls. And I went, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Turned around. Hey, Nikki Sixx. So they go, wah! And they start running. He goes, fuck me, and he's running out. And then I get a call. Now I'm manager at that point, and I'm in the office, and I get a call, and it's not Nicky. It's not like he called me. It's somebody representing him, and he's like, he tells the story, and I went, I promise you, he'll be fired tomorrow. And it's okay. There you go. Yeah, it was fun times. Fun times. I met
again, one of these times you're gonna get hit in the head for that, and I will just sit there and go, I told you this was going to happen.
Probably so. I also met John Ritter at that movie theater. That guy was so nice. He really was. They were filming Problem Child in Florida, and he and his wife, and they were just great. They were wonderful people. Unlike Jamie Lee Curtis, who was filming, what was the movie? My Girl, I think it was, with Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. But John Ritter would talk to anybody. I actually had to apologize for one of my employees because my employee brought in a Hero at Large movie poster. And I said, I'm sorry for this. We promised you nobody would be bothering you. And he goes, it's okay. I never get anybody talking about Hero at Large. It's always Three's Company or something like that. And it was like, all right.
Really Parker, we talked about that in a previous live stream. I don't know if E is still planning on making that into its own separate video.
What did we? Oh, you know what? I put it on From the Longbox, which is there's a link in the description. I've got 2 comic book channels. I put it on From the Longbox, the Peter David stuff. But oh, by the way, if you guys tell me if you liked it, I was thinking about continuing the Peter David versus Image stuff. I hadn't read that in forever, and it was fun going through those things.
It's both fascinating and uncomfortable how prescient he was, or rather how many of the problems back then still lingered today, I guess is a better way of putting it.
If you guys are wondering, it's spelled like this, okay? There's a word, it's an English word, oglantine. And that's the proper way to say it. The proper way to say it is right here, and it's actually oglantine. But it was in a song by Styx, In the Grove of Oglantine, and I was not saying it correctly. I don't know.
Mishearing it.
Yeah. So when I would sing along, In the Grove of Eglantine, just south of Mansfield, it's basically okay. So, when I was told when you get it on the internet, you got to come up with some sort of code name. You can't put your own name out there, right, Dom? Or Dalton. So I thought, well, Eglantine is a made up word, is a mistaken word that I created. So I thought that would be a good name.
So it's just yours, only you can use it.
Yeah. Nobody else knows the word because it was my fuck up. So I decided I'll put that out there, and it stuck.
And the rest is history, as they say.
Elegant Sting is stuck in my head. But the thing is people call me, what is it? It's not Eglantine. Elegantine, like you said, or Engletine. I've gotten that. That's Nerdette, and RDV says. Listen. RDV always says it. It's Engletine. He'll say it like that. So yeah.
When he first told me the origin story of his name, I assumed that he pulled it from Bedknobs and Broomsticks because
Oglantine.
Because I know how big of a Disney fan E is, and I was like, well, obviously you took it from Mrs. Price's first name, didn't you? Apparently not. That would have made logical sense, but it is apparently not so.
In the old days of YouTubing, people had random names. Now people just use. Well, yeah. I mean, at this point. Everybody who's ordered comics knows my name is Aaron. But at this point in time, Eglantine, excuse me, I've used it so often. I've actually said it in public. Name, sir, Eglantine. I have actually done that in public. No, I'm sorry, it's not that. It's Aaron. You know, I'm just so used to saying it now. And your avatar is messing with Dark Admiral because he thinks you are Tom McDonald.
Really?
Apparently, I don't know who that is, but there you go.
Oh, and besides, like I do, I did like putting like a comic quiz, but people like call me like Dom more so than comic quiz, even though they'll like Dominic is not my real name. So I am like still remaining anonymous.
I know what it is. That's why I keep calling him Dalton. It's Dalton, by the way. They're both Dalton.
I doubt that significantly. But the main reason I went with my name originally was, well, actually there are two reasons. One, I couldn't think of an alias to save my life for the first like couple weeks of needing one. And two, I figured that if I reveal what my actual name is, then no one can dox me. If you
That's actually why I did the face
if you make
reveal.
yourself undoxable, they cannot hurt you.
I was getting, oh, we're gonna dox you from the war campaign. I was like, okay, here's my face. No more hiding behind things. If anybody's, I told Nerdette the same thing, because she said some guy's threatening to dox me. I said, dox yourself. Take the power away from them. You know, if you show who you are, then they can't do that.
Then there is no more bullet in their gun.
Yep. That worked for me. And if you guys remember when I did my first face reveal, I said, "Okay, guys, I'm going to put show my face here. So I want to hear all of the great insults, but be funny." And my favorite was, "He looks like the Kingpin's less intimidating brother." I love that. That was good.
Which, I mean, to be fair, he is not wrong. Laugh not this time, for he is not wrong.
Yeah, that was the best one.
I actually compare you to Chickless of the Fantastic Four.
That's kind of funny that you say that, because I actually played the Thing for a couple of. It was a photo thing. I'm like, you guys want me to be the Thing? I'm not big like that. I'm fat. It's a different kind of big. You're gonna have a fat thing, but at least they had a thing.
But
also the phrasing of fat thing just. I have to invoke the Archer meme. Phrasing.
But you know, actually, right? But it's funny that for a good long while, like actually, I did not have a picture for my avatar until later, and I chose Constantine because he remains one of my favorite, not just characters, but heroes in fiction.
Okay,
yeah, you gotta love Johnny. He's a good one.
But
yeah, because even though like he does have a cynical like edge to him, then like he is not a bad guy.
No, he just happens to have simultaneously the best and worst luck in the multiverse.
Oh, Clint, go yourself.
What do you say?
He says you can show your face, but you can't hide the solar reflector. Yeah. When is England team going to fight? You know what I want to do with and I know you guys make fun of the singing anyway. I wanted to recreate Man or Muppet with Puppetine, and even if we have to do it just like on the screen, I want to recreate Man or Muppet.
That makes perfect sense. I'm sure Pixel would love to do it too.
Oh, if we could find some time, that would be so enjoyable. It really would be.
I miss the RPG we used to do, and one of the things that I miss the most is Pixel's like storyline segments and stuff.
Yeah. By the way, guys, there it is. There's Fat Thing. Actually, yeah, I just noticed. Yeah, there's the Fat Thing. All right, so, but yeah.
My eyes!
Yeah. But we went to the movie theater for the premiere, and then we went to Burger King's and such because there was a cross promotion. And
right, I remember when the Burger King toys were Fantastic Four related. Mm-hmm. For me, it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it must have been almost 30 years ago because I was maybe 5.
Yeah, it was a muscle suit that, I wish I could get that kind of muscular. I just never could. Like, even if I did bench presses, I never got the big arms, I just can never do that. But yeah, but the thing is when I was working out, it seemed like my shoulders went and the chest, but that was okay. But I could never get the big arms. It was just, I don't know why.
Rhaegar, I really hope whenever Maranya gets to be back on her feet again, we can start up doing the Marvel role playing game again. Because
I will let you guys. I will host it, so you guys could go on and do that if y'all wanted to. I'm more than happy to let you guys do it. Or if they want to do it, yeah.
Well, as for getting with the bigger arms, like and depending on like which like workout and technique you're doing, it depends on what body type you are, as well as like the results. So like in the aftermath, when you do it before and after.
When I was young and skinny, I actually I never had washboard, but I had the flat stomach. I had what?
Okay, so you were toned.
Yeah, I had I would say the Bruce Lee body. I was thin, but I was muscular. But I was never so muscular like you. Ripped. I was never ripped. I guess that would be the word.
Yeah. The problem Ethereal Dragon is I want to bring back my original character because I'm not done with the horror story, so I want to bring back my original character.
Yeah, well, I will say, since the Fantastic Four has been brought up, like the more like that new Fantastic Four is showing up, the more people are just like itching to roast the heck out of it.
We were talking about that. I really wanted to see it, but now that
I'm worried.
The desire is just going downhill.
I'm in the same headspace as the James Gunn Superman. The more I learn about it, the less I think it's going to work.
I mean, heck, it makes me rather like rewatch the Fantastic Four duology as well as reading like the Fantastic Four and the classics.
We mentioned this earlier, but it staggers me that we're coming up on our 4th cinematic version of the Fantastic Four, and we still can't get a good Doom. It shouldn't be this hard. It should not be this hard.
In the world of animation, Victor is actually
but I don't want it to be animated. That's just taking a thing that was already pictures and making those pictures move. I want it to be translated into live action properly, and it should not be this difficult. Get Christoph Waltz or Mads Mikkelsen and have them play the character as written, goddammit.
Cheeseburger team, yes.
Actually, I had a burger last week. It was really good.
Out with my fat ass now. I worked at BK, says Clint. When Rise of Silver Surfer came out, I stole a window cling and a Silver Surfer toy. My wife wants to throw it out, but I still have it. Oh, was that the one you pulled that was on wheels? I remember those. The Silver Surfer video game was really good, Rhaegar. It's hard as hell, though. That is incredibly difficult.
Including the Fantastic Four video game.
And Admiral says I was opposite when I was weight training. My buddies call me Popeye for the big arms, legs, and bird chest. Let's see. Hope they bring back Madcap for every single episode. Oh, okay.
I despise you for remembering that existed. I despise you for that.
Come on, like he is a.
I look like Rick Moranis, the Keymaster. There is no E, only Zool. Really? There you go.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
I can see it. No, I can see it.
The gatekeeper was Zool.
Yeah.
The keymaster was Vince Clortho.
Yeah. Okay. But as for I was going to say, like for the even like the first Fantastic Four game, for the first movie, we were like, I remember like enjoying it very much.
Yeah, I enjoy a lot of the superhero games that came out in the 2000s. Yeah, Fantastic Four was okay. I don't think I ever finished that one. But I remember playing, of course, the Spider-Mans. I remember having on my computer, I found, I don't know what you guys call them, a mod or something like that, of the Avengers, the side-scroller.
Yeah, that's called a mod.
I actually miss the days when pretty much every blockbuster got its own tie-in video game, especially now, because imagine if we could have gotten superhero video games back when the MCU was in top form. Like that would have been, or hell, even something as simple as imagine a video game based on the Black Adam movie.
Maximum Carnage was awesome, Rhaegar.
Where you could play as the various different members of the JSA. Of course, I, being me, would default to Dr. Fate forever, but you know, that's just me.
I actually I had that game. Well, I had some surgery done. I had some broken teeth that had to be taken out, and they said don't eat anything. You're going to be out of it for a couple of days. So Gail said, since you got to stay home, I got you something. She got me the Justice League video game, and man, we had sex that night. I will tell you. Anyway, but it was a lot of fun. I played the hell out of that game. I was a little disappointed you couldn't pick the heroes you wanted, like the Marvel game, but it was still good.
Marvel Strike Force for being a phone game is actually pretty fun.
Dom, what you said?
I was gonna say briefly about Madcap. He is not a bad villain, but at the same time, it's a blessing in disguise that he isn't really being utilized like all that much like whether it's in comics or in other media.
He just happens to be a pain in the ass to fight is the issue. He exists just to irritate me. I am convinced of this.
Now, as for the Maximum Carnage video game, like that's one I can see be re-released, at least in like in an emulator format through either the Nintendo Switch, or even like on PC, but you're playing it with the controllers. Because even like that time, like when superhero video games were made like they wouldn't want them to not only be based on like an existing comic book series or storyline. In case in point, Maximum Carnage. Like there were no movies. Well, there wasn't a movie, or even Spider-Man 94, where like it didn't do an adaptation of Maximum Carnage.
Anyway, sorry guys. Let's see what we have here. The music was cool. Silver Surfer NES was my first video game, says Clint, and Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety were sweet. Weren't they the same game though? I remember them being very similar in the way they went. Death and Return of Superman was dope. I remember playing that, but I don't remember much about it. Tigra, Deathlock, Cloak and Dagger cameo. Really? Wow. I also think the Punisher game. There were two of them. There was a Punisher and Nick Fury, and there was the Punisher for Xbox. Punisher for Xbox was badass. I played the shit out of that one. The Xbox one was the one where you could kill people. The PlayStation, they kind of nerfed it. I had a lot of comic-related video games about most used from the video. Me too. What were some of them? That I played? Like I played all the Batmans. My favorite was the one that was based on the animated series. But and as far as the movies, Batman Forever. I like that one. I wasn't a big fan of like Batman Returns and all that kind of. They were kind of crap. Superman games were crap generally. But the Spider-Man games were good.
Yeah, the Superman game, it's possible, but you just need to find like the best people for the job. Not just like for like game development, but also in the writing. I mean, hey, like hire Dan Jurgens, and he'll help. And he can writing a story for a hypothetical Superman video game.
You're already asking too much because you're asking the modern video game industry to contain good writers, and you should know better than that by now.
Oh, the old school X-Men. Oh, sorry.
But I didn't say like it should be done like within the mainstream. It can be done independently.
I'm just telling you, you are asking there to be good writers in video games, and that is a thing. That is a thing of a bygone era from far away and long ago, sir. I wish it were not the case, but the AAA industry in particular would indicate that there just are no good writers in video games at the moment. With the possible exception of Little Platoon, because I hear he is in a writer's room for a video game, and anything he's involved with, I expect to at least be competent.
Go ahead, Angleton.
The side scroller X-Men, I do believe that's available, or at least it used to be available on the Xbox. I bought it. I know I have it somewhere. I don't know if it's on my Xbox One or what was it called? 360? Yeah, 360. Let's see, Swamp Thing NES. Never played that one. Spider-Man Game Boy. I'd never had that, but I played all of the Spider-Man games. They were really freaking cool. That last one, not the last one, but they did one with wait, no, I haven't played all of them because I haven't played the most recent. I'm stuck on old technology right now. But what was it, Edge of the Universe or something, where you played
at the time?
Yeah.
The one where you played all of the different one throughout time.
Oh, Shadow Dimension.
War, and yeah, that was so fucking good.
No, Shadow Dimension like remains like one of the best, not just Spider-Man games, but superhero games.
Yeah,
it's also like nice. It's also nice like to hear Neil Patrick Harris and Dan Galvin like voicing the web crawler again, but this time like from different universes, with Neil voicing like 616 Peter and Galvin like voicing like Miguel Harris of the future of the Marvel universe.
Cool. I remember the original Spider-Man. Oh no, a bomb! Get the building. All the while, Green Goblin's throwing pumpkin bombs at you.
I think I'm gonna have to dip out relatively soon, guys. So I will talk to you later.
Close up shop here. We've been on for 2:15 right now. Let's see what's going on here, kids. Tomorrow, I love you.
Tomorrow, you're only a day.
Let's see what we got. What do we have as far as the tier listing is concerned? Yesterday was really good. That was our 200th episode, and
nice.
I managed to show off every issue number 200 in American Comics and some foreign ones as well. Tomorrow will be Gen 13. And
nice.
I'm thinking we might have extras so I can just include all of the variants of number 1, and then we'll do like 1 through 12 plus variants. So there you go. And let's see, after that, I think we're doing on Wednesday, we're doing EC non-horror covers. So,
okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, should be interesting. Well, considering the crime covers were the ones that were actually really bad, I think it'll be a lot of fun. All right, if you want to control a video, just go on over to Ko-Fi, drop $1 into the till, tell us what video, including these, by the way, and tell us what you want to see. That being said, thank you very much for hanging out. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night, guys.
Cheers, guys.